Hey everybody. So I recently did a video talking about Nicki Minaj addressing the United Nations because of a claimed genocide of Christians in Nigeria. Even though that I got some information that was not quite up to scale with the claim, I decided that I should talk to a person who's more familiar with the topic. Here is our discussion. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Roots Matter. I am here with my good sis from across the pond, the Afro Atheist. How you doing, honey?
I'm good, thank you. It's good to be here.
It's
It's
been
good to
so
be here.
long.
It
Oh my
has been.
gosh.
It has been, and I've
Yes.
I've been looking forward to this.
Me too. Me too, especially with the conversation that we're going to have because,
Hmm.
usually like I wanted to bring you on a live, but by the time I start to do like my live sessions, they're kind of late. And I understand that you're
Mm.
like 5 hours ahead of me. So I'm not going to do that to you. But yeah, I really did want to pick your brain. So just to add some context, Nicki Minaj um, went to the United Nations to
Hmm.
implore the other countries to step in or, basically just like bringing attention to the matter, per se, of Christians being targeted specifically in Nigeria. And I know that I did a reaction video to that specifically because according to my research that there was a lot of nuance that was missing from this whole conversation. And I recognize that as an American, that there is going to be like some things that I am ignorant of since I am not a person that is within that region. I'm not from that region, me specifically, then I am going to possibly be a bit ignorant of some of the politics that's in play. I've had conversations with other, people from the Nigeria region, and they talked about politics and things of that nature. But since this is not my lived experience, I really wanted to talk to you specifically because you are Nigerian even though you're living in the UK now, but you are still very familiar with what's going on in your country, in your homeland.
Yes.
And also you're an atheist, so you're going to come from a more skeptical humanist point of view when it comes to this whole conversation. So I just want to give you an opportunity to please educate me about all of this and what some of your thoughts are concerning what's really the issue that's
Hmm.
happening.
Okay. So I have wanted to speak on this matter, and I might have spoken, bits here and there. I've never really done um, a live stream on the subject as such. The reason why is I don't want to come across as insensitive because I have my thoughts and opinions which might go completely against the the you know um the rhetoric that is put out there. Now, I am not surprised that this is happening. I knew it was going to, for somebody who doesn't have a belief in either gods, the Christian God or the Muslim God, I could already tell that in the near future, things like this were going to happen. I've been saying it for years that it is a ticking time bomb. And so now it's just the uproar, hey, rah, rah, rah. But this has been um, foretold. This has been, you can tell that it's brewing. And I think that it chances are it might even get worse. About a Christian genocide, I am very careful to say uh, there is a Christian genocide. I'm going to say that yes, Christians have died. Yes, Muslims have also died. Maybe more Christians than there are than Muslims, but it is such with Nigeria. There really isn't hardcore evidence, right? That um, people are they're not able to give accurate records of what is going on. Who was a Christian at the point of death and who wasn't? It is such a hard thing to determine. And so I'm usually very careful with those, uh, the news that is put out there because you don't want to, you've got to be careful, but there are victims. Um, so whatever I say here, these are just my thoughts and opinions. Um, this is what I usually say is we've got two Abrahamic gods. We've got the Yahweh, the Christian God, and we've got Allah, the Muslim God. And these two gods cannot coexist. They cannot coexist. How Nigeria has managed to have those two religions just, live side by side and, just, and we're now at this point. I think we've done incredibly well. Things have been happening. This isn't the first. There has been different attacks, it's been going on for a long time. And as long as those two religions are coexisting, these issues will continue to arise.
Yeah, that's a very good point because I know that a lot of people will like to try to bring up that, oh, well, Allah and Yahweh are the same God.
Mm,
But that would be people who are not Muslim, and those are people who are not Christian.
mm,
And we really dive into the character of God, whether and from of course, I was a Christian, you was a Christian, so we're very familiar with the book, right? The Bible. And I can definitely say, and I've heard you say too, that the Christian God is a very violent,
mm, mm,
bloodthirsty, um, misogynistic, um, uh, 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 jealous,
mm,
all the ills that one could actually look at when you look at the character of God, the way that God is depicted in the Bible is not good. And so you take that characteristic and then you add it to faith from another religion, even though like it's claimed to be Abrahamic, and I understand that there were other people who have tracked the evolution and the and the formation. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna call it evolution, but the formation of the Islamic religion, right? And it seems like from some of the things, and I will be the first person to admit that I'm ignorant of the Quran. I have not read the entire Quran, but I have read some of the surahs. And some of the
mhm, mhm.
surahs are troubling, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just like, like you would read some of parts of the Bible, like especially in the Old Testament, it's troubling. And
Hmm.
then, you would have Christians say, well, we don't live under the law right anymore. We live under grace. And I was like, but Jesus said himself that he did not come to destroy the law, he came to fulfill it. So
Yeah.
which is it? Right?
Hmm.
So if you're taking that, and saying that, okay, the law is still the law, and and God manifested himself into a man in order to save himself, to sacrifice himself to himself in order to save you from death if you accept him, blah 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 blah. That's its own there, right? But then you take some other portions of, okay, Islam is going to take like some of the portions, especially from the Old Testament, add it to their own belief systems, and then add whatever Muhammad said, right? And eventually you have these two disparate religions, even though they're based on the same God, that is going to be at odds with one another because their development was one way to another, was one person to another person. and and then when you try to implement that into how you govern a people, that's just more issue.
Of course, indeed, indeed. So talking about the books,
Mm-hmm.
you are right that the Quran is very troubling.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have noticed that the adherents, the people who adhere to the dictates of the Quran, they do so just blindly. They believe every word. They believe that the words in the Quran are the words of Allah. And it is they are immovable. And so when I've read the Quran, I've I too have looked at it and thought, this is troubling. The word fight, fight them. I had to go and type in Google how many times does the Quran say fight? There's over 200 and something times that the Quran says fight. And for me, I think to myself, this is a God who the claim is that he created all of us, right? He created all of us, created us with our differences, created us with the ability to comprehend or not comprehend. Uh, just he has created us. But this God is happy to watch his children fighting to the extent that he even gives the go ahead to do so. And so I find that book, and this is also part of the problem in Nigeria, is that because that book says a lot of this fighting and taking over, and you know, they are happy to do so in the name of Allah. And this is why whenever they go to do the commit the evil, they will happily shout Allahu Akbar because they're doing it in the name of God. So
Yeah.
whereas with Christianity is, we now have a milder version of Christianity. Now, Christianity of course has evolved. Christianity has now, it's now up to people's interpretation. Now,
Right. Yeah. Remember, we have like about 45,000 different
denominations.
denominations of Christianity.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah. Worldwide, right? It's like
Ish.
over 30,000 in the United States alone, right? So people have definitely developed their own interpretations of what the Bible says, and how you're supposed to interpret it, using hermeneutics, using apologetics, etc., etc. And and I've even said it too, and because like I've been like on a couple of your lives, and like some other people who happen to be in the TikTok atmosphere, having these conversations with Christians. And one of the things I even say is like, why does an all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving being need hermeneutics to one,
Mm-hmm.
concern yourself to know exactly what it's saying, and
Mm-hmm.
apologetics to defend what it's saying? Why?
Well, I think we both know the answer.
Yeah, because
We
it's
both
written
know
on
the
there.
answer to it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, It's written by a
We both
man.
know the answer.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's because it's written by several different people who decide to interject their own thought patterns into what this book is supposed to look like, and especially how it's supposed to govern people
Exactly.
who actually read it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, but like if like a supernatural being who's supposed to be this great thing existed, there's no reason for you to even have these things in the first place. That's why I've been accused of being ignorant of hermeneutics, right? Because like
Mm.
I read the Bible and I look at it literally.
Yeah.
And I said, it specifically says here in Leviticus 25 that you are supposed to, that you can beat a slave in the end of his life, but don't kill him. And then you'll be okay.
Mm-mm-mm.
Because the slave is the slave master's money. This is what it's, I mean, like, I'm paraphrasing, but this is what the Bible says.
Yes.
You know, where is the context under that to interpret it differently from what I just read? I inquiring minds want to know.
Mm-hmm.
But we're taking all of this, right? And you can and you can enlighten me because like I'm like I watch a lot of your videos. I lurk. I don't say a whole lot, but I lurk because I've been loving what you do. And especially when it comes to some of the pastors that are in Nigeria that are using their own hermeneutics in order for them to
Oh.
interpret how they are preaching to their
Mm.
flock, right? I was watching that last video that you did on TikTok when you had that one preacher who was saying that, because of the Melchizedek order, that you're still going to be paying tithes in heaven. Oh my God. I'm like, what what income are you? What income? What kind of job are you doing in heaven that you got to pay a tenth of what you? Lord have
No,
mercy. It's
it's
crazy. Go ahead.
the his hermeneutics. That particular gentleman. Oh my goodness. You should hear him.
Mm,
He has said even worse things.
mm.
So it's what he said about them paying tithe. He said, because there was that man in the Bible called Melchizedek.
Yeah, Melchizedek. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, in Nigeria, they call it Melchizedek.
Yeah.
Melchizedek,
I'm doing my American black person
yeah,
version. Hmm.
Melchizedek was eternal because there was no
Mm,
trace of his mother or father.
I
It just,
see.
in the Bible, this
Hmm.
character comes from nowhere. He just comes from nowhere.
This
And he's a priest, he's this and
appears.
that, right? And
Yeah.
then now we're giving him 10% of the spoils, right?
Mm.
10% of the spoils, which is okay.
Sure.
But because Melchizedek is eternal
Mm.
and he's supposed to be the representative of Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
that means the pain is going to be eternal.
Good gravy.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me that I have to work a whole job or a business or whatever I'm doing to earn money,
Mm-hmm.
pay my tithes while I'm on earth, and then when I die and I go to the pearly gates and then 12 gates in the city, that's a whole song. And then I'm in there and I still have to go through the wanted ads in heaven in order for me to get a job so that I can pay tithes while I'm there for eternity. What? That's insane to me. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I understand like a lot of this is just to utilize biblical passage to come up with some type of rhetoric in order to basically encapsulate the minds of the people that you're talking to grift off of them. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they do it here. And I remember being in church and listening to some of the pastors who would sometimes even come from out of town, and they're preaching to the people, and they got you in lines and saying, okay, whoever can give $1,000, step in
Oh yes,
first,
yes, yes.
and then the 500, and then 200, and then 100, and then $20, and then whatever you can get. Like, you got lines of these people, just giving and giving, and they're just pressing the people to say, give and it shall be given back unto you. Press down, shaken together, running over, men shall give into your bosom, etc., etc. And the majority of the people who are being told a lot of these things are there because they're looking for some type of outlet, because
Mm,
they really don't have it to give.
no.
They really don't. I even think of like my own hometown, where you have a bunch of churches, and a lot of these different churches are flourishing in neighborhoods that are poor, that are disinvested, that are, lack of
Yes,
resources. And a lot of people would think, oh, this is maybe just an American phenomenon, but it's not. I mean, like, because you come to find out through study and data, and just talking to people like yourself, that no, Christianity in of itself, or even like religion in of itself, flourishes in places where it's normally very poor.
absolutely.
And
It's a
yeah.
coping mechanism.
Yes, yes, yes. And yes, I totally agree. I mean, like, even like personally getting into Christianity myself in the saved, charismatic, evangelical way was because I was trying to cope with life, and I did not see another way to do it outside of what I was being fed, right? And 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 we already know that, like, generation before that and generation before that is taught the same thing,
Yeah,
you know I mean, but like, but then you also see that people who are in these particular religions and are fed this type of rhetoric are still where they are before then, but they have some type of a pacifying moment in order for them to, I guess, accept their position, in order to say, well, this may not last forever. If I keep on paying my tithes, and I keep on praying, and I keep on
hmm,
fasting, and all doing all the things that pastor tells me to do, then I will eventually receive my reward. It's kind of like what Annie Laurie would say from Freedom from Religion Foundation: you get that pie in the sky before you die, right? And and I mean, but like, there's no evidence to even say that that pie even exists. But
no.
I'm going off of my own, right? I'm sorry. Let's go back to this whole thing concerning.
Yes. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Let's go back
because
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so the fighting this has been going on for a very long time.
Mm,
It has always been a it's usually a matter of when,
mm-hmm,
not if.
mm-hmm,
And over the years, you would think that the government would have at least a better grip on things.
mm-hmm,
It's usually the Muslim side that instigate.
mm-hmm,
And you find that it's the Muslim religion in parts of the north, because how religion is divided in Nigeria is north is more um, Islam, and
mm-hmm.
south, down
Yeah,
going down south, is more Christian.
Christian, right?
But you do have mixtures
Sure, sure.
of both.
Mm-hmm,
But and so you find that in parts of the north that are very, very Islamic, you find a lot of child marriage. You find a lot of
mm,
young boys who aren't in school,
mm,
young boys and girls just hanging out on the streets. Just there's a name for them. They call them almajiris. right?
Hmm.
These are just the young boys who aren't in school because education is frowned upon.
Really?
Boko Haram,
Uh-huh.
Boko Haram literally means against Western education.
Wow.
That's the meaning of Boko
Mm-hmm.
Haram. That
Really?
yes, against
Wow.
Western education.
So they
So
equivocate. I mean, just so that just so that I can get an understanding. So they're equivocating any person that is seeking an education, even if it's within the country, as you are seeking a Western education.
mhm.
Wow, that's interesting. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, please continue.
so now you find all these young boys that are on the streets,
Mm-hmm.
got nowhere to go, just living day to day,
Mm-hmm.
and those kind of kids are very easy to lure into. Come and join my group. Come and join my gang. I've got this to offer you, and I've got this gun. Have you ever held a gun before? Right. So you
Mm-hmm.
find that most of these people who go about terrorizing communities, they are they armed
Mm-hmm.
young boys armed because they are people on the top that recruits them into.
Mm-hmm.
There's always been talks over the years of the Muslims want to Islamize Nigeria. They want to Islamize Nigeria, but Christians too, if
Mm-hmm.
given the chance, would want to Christianize Nigeria.
Of course.
So, like I was saying to some people today, I said, every time you go out to go and preach and do what you call evangelism,
Mm-hmm.
you are playing a small part of
Mm-hmm.
Christianizing Nigeria.
Yeah.
That is that is it right there.
Oh
So
yeah.
if you're looking at the Muslims or the you and saying, oh, they're coming to take a peace, they're coming, they want to Islamize. You're doing the exact same,
Mm-hmm.
but you just don't see it. And
Mm-hmm.
so now on the subject of people being killed,
Mm-hmm.
yes, people have been killed
Mm-hmm.
in communities. Sometimes it is uh so you with the north you get a lot of goat herders,
Mm-hmm.
right? These people are um most of them aren't in school, and so the
Mm-hmm.
trade is to they got cattle.
Mm-hmm.
They have not got farmlands
Mm-hmm.
in that part of the world, in that part of Nigeria. um the farming is very different in Nigeria,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they will have to take all the cattle to lands that are good with grass,
Mm-hmm.
and so they find themselves encroaching on land that they shouldn't be in, and that now creates fighting between
Yeah, conflict.
The
Mm-hmm.
Fulani headsmen, and
Yeah.
and so now the Fulanis, they start holding guns wherever
Mm-hmm.
they go. So it's these things have over the years just slowly just taken a different dimension completely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But about the genocide of Christians, um I, it's hard to say yes, this is what is really happening,
Mm-hmm.
because who's taking who's counting, who is doing the figures. Okay, this person was a Christian that almost
Yeah,
after these
like
things happen.
are you like taking a survey of every person that you're unaliving in order to figure out what
Exactly.
religious affiliation that they are? Like, no, you're
Now,
not.
so the Boko Haram, these groups, because there's not just Boko Haram, there are other terrorist group as well.
Mm-hmm.
There are other ones.
Mm-hmm.
So these groups, well, especially Boko Haram, they are also against liberal Muslims.
Mm-hmm. Really?
They're against, yes, so
Mm,
their fight is anyone who is not believing in Allah. But the Boko Harams, their claim is they're here to clean up Islam,
mm,
not
really?
all the mess in Islam. That Boko Haram, that's their duty, to
Wow.
clean up Islam. They
Mm,
want Islam to be the militant Islam. And
okay.
so this is where Muslim to Muslim have fighting. And sometimes they might plan to go into a place to go and commit the worst crimes.
Hmm.
And of course there'll be Muslims there too, but you see it's because it's just the whole group. So yeah, let's go. So you but with this one, I uh we have to be careful because I have noticed a lot of American evangelicals
Hmm.
latching on to this whole genocide of
Yes,
Nigerian
ma'am.
rhetoric.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
It
Sure have.
seems to be they're the ones fueling it even more.
Yeah. So to your point concerning like American evangelicals specifically, that's kind of adding their voices to this whole conversation. So the reason why you even had like the push for this to happen is because of United States Senator Ted Cruz. United States Senator Ted Cruz is a Christian. He's a Christian nationalist. Okay. He is he's very much so in that whole area of Jesus, God and babies type stuff, right? And um and when I was just like looking up, because like he's the one who actually introduced legislation in September.
What's his
uh
name? You said Ted Cruz?
yes, Senator Ted Cruz. Yep, he's the senator from Texas.
Okay.
He has been dubbed as Senator Runaway because when there was a failure in Texas when it came to their grid, their power grid,
Mm-hmm.
and it was due to like a frost that was happening and people were losing their power, and they were having issues with their food spoiling because they didn't have like electricity. Ted Cruz fled to Mexico and took his,
Right.
they decided to go ahead and on a vacation because reasons, right? So he introduced a bill in September of 2025, and it was called
Mm.
the Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025, or Senate Bill 2747.
Wow.
And to the United States Senate, this bill seeks to impose targeted sanctions, travel bans, and asset freezes on Nigerian officials who are deemed to facilitate religious violence or enforce blasphemy laws. And the CPC designation is a primary goal of his push is for the United States Secretary of State, which would be Marco
Mm-hmm.
Rubio, to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern
Mm.
for severe religious freedom violations. And Nigeria was previously designated by the CPC by Trump administration in 2020, but it was removed by the Biden administration in 2021. And the allegations are is that Cruz claims that since 2009, extremist groups and armed militias in Nigeria have killed over 50,000 Christians, just Christians, right? And
Mm-mm.
destroyed more than 20,000 churches and schools. And he has vowed to publicly name specific Nigerian officials he holds accountable in the coming days and weeks. Now, ask me if he has named anybody specifically,
No.
because that would be too much like right. So
Hmm.
that is. where a lot of this is coming from. And
Hmm.
now I guess like they felt it was a good idea to get a rapper. And I and here's the thing.
I don't see the connection. I
You
don't see
know,
the
yeah,
connection. Nicki Minaj.
right. And you know what, and
Hmm?
I will, and just to be fair, I did not go through the whole minutia of how specifically she was courted to
Okay.
contact to address the United Nations. But I do know that the Trump administration did set up for her to speak to United Nations specifically about this topic. And she even said on social media that yes, I am honored that the Trump administration chose me, a person who is
Hmm.
not Nigerian, a person who has never lived in Nigeria, a person who is, I guess like she's Christian, so that brings her close to the dynamic of it.
So
Um,
she's Christian?
I guess, yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Okay. Okay.
I don't doubt that she's not Christian. I'm pretty sure she is. I mean, like I'm pretty sure that some people will say, based on her music and the way that she presents herself, that that's not the case. But child, listen, we already know that how people present themselves versus what their faith is are two different things. Okay, and how many times have seen all types of people who have been half naked talking about glorifying violence and this, that, and the third. And then the first thing that they do when they get their awards is say, I'd like to thank God for blessing me for yada, yada, yada. Okay. So time out for that. Right. So now, so like, I would expect, this is my mind. I would expect that if you were going to have some person address the United Nations about a certain topic, that the
Mhm.
person would be an expert in that field. But she's a rapper that is, I don't,
Just,
I don't, and I'm not
I,
trying to be, and I can understand that people who are, in the music industry can be learned about different things, but I mean, like, but like, she's not an ambassador. She's a rapper, you
and
know.
and connection to Nigeria. Connection
Mhm.
to Nigeria is, how is she able to fully understand what's really going on there? Even Nigerians still struggle to even, determine what is what. So how is she
Yeah,
presenting this to the UN?
yeah. And,
How?
I mean, like her whole speech was basically about like religious freedom is important, and
Hmm.
it's not good to torture people for their beliefs and things of that nature. And she's right, it's not. But at the same time, and this is one of the things that I even said in my video again, is that it is not incumbent on, first off, you to insert yourself in the politics of another country, especially when you have no ties there. That's one. I mean,
Yeah.
like and that really bugs me because like oftentimes you would have people who would say, well, I would do this and I would do that, and they have no idea what the hell they're talking
They're
about,
doing. Yeah.
because they could have no ties to what it is that it happens to be going on in that specific area. And and the only thing that you're doing when you are talking about any of this is this repeating rhetoric that has been fed to you. It's not
Exactly.
that you specifically went to, like, I have to give a shout out to Mandisa Thomas and Black
Hmm.
Nonbelievers and Dan Barker of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. They went to Nigeria 2 years ago.
Hmm.
They were there. They actually engaged with people who were doing work with Dr. Igwe, who is
Oh
specifically,
yes.
yeah, who is doing the project to help women who have been accused of being witches,
Which is.
and also even we hosted a Zoom conversation at the Revival of Reason earlier this year with Mubarak, when he was
Mm.
talking about his time as a
Mhm.
when he was imprisoned, because he was accused of blasphemy, right?
Yes.
And he was and it's interesting because he was accused of blasphemy by the Muslim area in Nigeria,
Hmm.
but the Christians, who happened to be mostly in the government, said nothing and allowed the jailing to happen anyway.
Hmm. Well, okay. So government said nothing,
Yeah.
but I was in conversations
Mm.
at that time. Clubhouse was a thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I still remember going in conversations where Muslims and Christians and we're having this, debate about this the case of Mubarak being sentenced to 28 years. The Muslims were saying, well, he he blasphemed.
Mhm.
The Christians were saying, well, he should have known. He should have known not to do that.
Mm.
Because we are Christians, so we're nicer.
Mm.
We're nicer. So there wasn't empathy as such coming from
Yeah.
the Christian camp.
Right.
There wasn't empathy at all. So mm, for the most part, there just wasn't any empathy for Mubarak Bala coming from the Christians. No.
Yeah. There, I mean, because like at the end of the day, he's still an atheist and he's still a
Yeah.
person who is not a believer, and he is speaking out against religion
Hmm.
and the ills that happen. And obviously, it is a thing because we see how religion impacts societies in a way that is actually adverse to their development and growth. And also how it can be a hindrance to the people who happen to be in certain regions. This
Hmm.
is one of the reasons why even the framers of the Constitution in America wanted to separate church and state. Because when they were in jolly old England, the king was also the head of the church. And whether if you were in church or whether if you were dealing with the government, you dealt with the same person, and they
Hmm.
saw how the system that was set up there could be very oppressive to the people, because the way that they're dictating law is based on their interpretation of
Hmm.
what God is saying. And and it never should be, especially in a pluralistic society. And here's the thing: whether you're talking about Africa, the continent, you're talking about North America, you're talking about Central America, South America, anywhere in the world, we are in pluralistic societies. There is not going to be two people, even if they're claiming the same religion, that believe the same way. And one of the things that should never be a thing is for governments to use their own thought patterns and ideas on how to interpret a book that was written thousands of years ago to determine how they should govern in 2025 beyond. That should never be a thing. And I am empathetic to any people who happens to be in an area where they are being, um, possibly tortured, harassed, terrorized, things of that nature because of reasons. But I think that this conversation should be talked about in a more nuanced way, because the reason why all this stuff is happening is not just because people who are existing in that area are Christians. And the reason why we know that is because people who are not Christians are being unalived as well.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you know that Nigeria has 12 states that are governed by the Sharia law.
Mm. Okay.
So, so up north, you've got the Sharia.
Mm-hmm.
And for Muslims, the Sharia law supersedes any other law.
Right.
So, what I don't understand is
Mm-hmm.
the outrage by Christians. These people have been slowly building. This is there is an Sokoto. This is a caliphate in Nigeria. The Sokoto. There's a whole emir there, and it's when people are unalive, then that conversation is being had. Otherwise, no one's saying it. For me, it's just why are we surprised? Now there is claims that there is it's very much political. Whenever the elections are coming up, then we get all these talking points. We get all these things happening just to create divide, just to get people to sway people that, oh, we would be the better candidates to sort this out. We would be, you know how true that is. I don't know whether, you know are you saying that politicians pay these young children to come and destroy whole neighborhoods? Just I don't know, but that's always been there. It's and it will continue to be there. There's talks of, oh, they're being paid. This Boko Haram, they've got handlers in the government. I do know that there was a time when um, some Boko Haram ex-members who were part of Boko Haram, who were no longer Boko Haram, but they've come away and they claim that they are now sober. They now realize that they were, it was the actions were no good. And the government started wondering, what do we do with these people? What do we do with or reformed Boko Haram members? Then they started talking about, of course, rehabilitating, and there was talks of, giving them jobs, money, and to the extent they were saying to take them abroad for education, go educate them abroad. These are ex criminals.
Where were they going to educate them at? Like where were they going to go?
I honestly don't know. This is the thing. Nigeria is when Nigeria do things, they've got their ways of doing things. It may not make sense to the other parts of the world, to the rest of the world, but to Nigerians, it makes perfect sense. So this whole thing with Boko Haram and terrorists, it's so hard to pin this conversation down to this is what's going on, that's what's going on. But I tell people, please be careful what news you're taking in. So there was the one man, I forget, I don't know his name, the one who went viral for screaming, "Oh, Donald Trump, come and help us!" and this and that man. Now he has become a huge sensation, right? He's everywhere now. He's in different people's churches. They're inviting him to come and speak. He's getting money. He's been,
You
you
know,
know,
and see, that's the thing that I was mostly concerned about with all of this. I mean, I get concerned about any of like a happening and then the spin becomes a thing, and then you have a person or entities that take on that spin, repeat the rhetoric, and then next thing you know, they're profiting off of that. And it's kind of like how I will call them like we have people like that in the United States that would take like issues, right? That need to be addressed. But the way that it's spinned is in a way that the worst far left story could be a thing, to the point where they are then using that in order for people to say, oh, you're gonna help with that, right? Come to my place, we'll give you money, come speak on this, come yada yada yada, and but at the same time they're doing all that, the hurt is still there. The people who are being harassed are still there. The people who are still being oppressed are there. The people
Yeah.
who are looking for justice are still there. But
Hmm.
at the same time, you do have people who would take issues and they will utilize them for their own aggrandizement. And that's the thing that I was very concerned about here.
About
Yeah,
that
yeah,
gentleman that I said, of course, he started receiving money.
yeah.
Now, I
Yeah.
am not claiming that he is profiting.
Mm,
That's not my claim.
okay.
My claim is that he is receiving money,
Yeah.
right? Because, of course, he's talking about he's buried 100 people in one go. He has gone to funerals where there are 30, 40 people being killed, 30, 40 Christians. And so, people want to help.
Sure.
So, monies are coming in.
Sure.
And I've watched him say,
Mm-hmm.
I've received monies,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but
We're not going
what
to
was
accuse him for being a grifter.
right? That's
However,
not that's not my accusation. I'm
sure.
sorry, I'm not accusing, but I'm just stating facts,
Yeah.
right?
And
Monies.
even to that point, like, when I was just saying before, is that unfortunately this is not the first time that something like this has happened. People taking
Of
um
course.
issues, and
Hmm.
they put them as like a moniker of this is something that's happening and it needs to be addressed, yada yada yada, but they are receiving money to quell the issue per se, or using or inserting themselves as an expert on said issue. So, and I don't necessarily have an issue with people getting money, or even I don't even have an issue with people giving, to help a situation, right? I don't have a
Hmm.
problem with that. But but we do need to be honest that issues like this specifically can open up a whole can of worms, a whole Pandora's box,
Yes,
where people can still utilize a way to profit off of people's pain. And that's the thing that I'm concerned about.
exactly.
Mhm.
And when we narrow this down, when we go okay down to the nitty gritty. Sorry, I've
Mhm.
got chewing on my mouth because I'm trying to stay awake.
Yeah,
It's pretty
you're
late.
good.
It's
Yeah,
pretty late. So
yeah, you're
the
good.
chewing gum helps me to stay awake. So
You're
anyway, so this Reverend Father
good.
who's gone viral,
Mhm.
um, he's got his collar, right? So what denomination is he? And who's appointed him as the spokesperson for the Christians in this part? So it becomes a whole conversation. Now, the one thing as an atheist, I overheard him saying that he was invited to a church, so he was speaking, and he said that we are going to need you guys in here to keep praying for us. That's what we need. We need more prayers. So he's the one who is crying, "Oh, Donald Trump, come and help us. I've buried so many. They're killing Christians. Genocide." And now he's saying the solution to the problems is we need more people praying prayer to God.
Nothing fails like prayer. Ah.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, um, Esther, I want to give you the last word because I know it's late where you are, and again I thank you so much for coming and lending your voice in this
No.
conversation. It's like so important. I wanted you to do it for a while, so I want to give you the last word, and then I'm going to leave and I'm going to send you to bed. So, so just if you could just summary your thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
and then tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay. So my thought, let me come with the Nigeria situation. Just tread with caution with whatever news coming out of Nigeria. People have died. That they just needlessly, they didn't need to die. It's just so pointless. And my heart goes out to the families of the people who have died. This is an ongoing conversation. So long as we have these two dominant religions coexisting, it's just guaranteed to continue to happen. Now, Christians want Trump to come in and just smoke out the terrorists, the T people. So, but if Trump comes in with his team, where are they going to begin from? Who exactly are they going for? And where are they supposed to find them? Unless they know exactly where and which, just, I don't know. But all I'm saying is Christians and Muslims really need to start having these conversations between themselves. It is a conversation to have. As somebody who doesn't believe in God, I I do say, look, in a world where Allah exists, Yahweh cannot exist in that same. Those two cannot. It's just one cancels out the other. Now it's either one is false or both of them even. Right? For, as people who don't believe in God, both. And so, if both gods, because when you think about how these religions even got to Nigeria to begin with, it's already flawed. It's flawed from the beginning. So here we are
One came by the
with this.
sword and the other one came by the gun.
Exactly. So this is where we find ourselves. It's an ongoing conversation. Will this happen again in the future? I'm afraid the answer is yes. It will still happen again. And because of the situation, the state of things in Nigeria, over 130 million people are living in poverty in Nigeria. 130 million people. Nigeria is currently the second, is it second or the first uh, country with the most poorest people? They call it the giant of Africa, but poverty is rife. Nigeria has some of the world's richest preachers, but Nigeria also have some of the world's poorest people. As a means to cope, as a means to get by in life, they 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 decide to join. these groups, right? They just decide to join the world of crime. So if these conversations are not being had, if these, this very tough, very tough, unfortunately, it's it's not looking good. It's not looking good. And so this is where people like us need to speak, because we are not coming from the perspective of, oh, your Allah is false, but my Yahweh is, you know, as far as we're concerned, those two gods. And so we can see, look, we need to come together. We need to try and coexist without these religions, without these beliefs. They're hurting us. All of this, I said to someone was saying, oh, the reason why all this is taking place is because of extremists. And I said, no, the reason why all of this is taking place is because of religion. If they're extremists, the religion allows them to be extremists. The religion gives them everything they need
Exactly.
to be extremists.
Exactly. My
So
point exactly.
the religion is, but you know something, Cynthia, we might have to come back again to touch on this, because I feel like we just scratched the surface. We just
I
scratched.
I agree, and I'm gonna have you back. If you don't mind staying up late with me again.
No, I don't mind. I don't
Good.
mind. I don't
Awesome.
mind.
Yeah, because yeah, I'm definitely I feel like this is a conversation that is a continuing thing because it's
Hmm.
so it because like what you're bringing up is such an important thing, especially when you're saying that the reason why we are having extremists is because of religion. Because religion gives extremists the reasons to be extreme. You know, and and that's the mic drop right there. So guys, listen, I am going to add the Afro Atheist's links in the show notes below. Afro Atheist is on TikTok. She is on YouTube. She is the person that talks a lot about religion, especially like how it shows up in the continent of Africa. And her work is phenomenal. You need to definitely tune in. And she's been doing this for a minute. And I have been privy to have conversations with her in the past, and she knows, as my father used to say, "Tu sabes su letra." She knows her stuff. So, so I again, Esther, thank you so much for
No,
being
thank you,
here.
Cynthia. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Thank you.
I
I've enjoyed, just hanging out with you and having this conversation. Very important conversation. And thank you for showing an interest,
yeah,
for, wanting to know more,
yeah,
and not just taking, oh, just everything you hear. You want genocide. Oh, the outrage, where, but just
yeah,
wanting to know more. What
yeah,
exactly is going on from a
yeah,
perspective of someone who, you know, uh, has ties to, and that's where a lot more people should be, but don't just take everything you hear from influencers and,
mm-hmm,
politicians, and no,
mm-hmm,
yeah. So,
exactly.
yes, it's about, skepticism.
Yes,
Keep applying skepticism.
critical thinking.
Chris, yeah, exactly.
All of those
Exactly.
things. Asking questions. Those are,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
always the way that's how you learn. So, and that is what this show is about because at the end of the day, as I always say, the roots matter. Take care, everybody.
Yes. Right. Thank you.